What most people never knew about him. The truth behind the antidepressants. For 6 years, he was on antidepressants. At first, I thought it was part of healing, that he was struggling with something internal, maybe from his past. I believed, like most people would, that medication meant he was getting better. But over time, I began to see the patterns. And now I know the truth. He wasn't taking antidepressants to heal. He was taking them to hide. Number one, why did he take antidepressants for 6 years? A, to control emotional dysregulation and comorbidity. People like him often struggle when they are not in control. And I know for a fact he battled with anxiety and depression. I saw it myself. As for other traits, like borderline tendencies, I can't say for sure. But what I do know is that the medication wasn't just about healing. It was about keeping the chaos inside hidden while keeping up appearances on the outside. But here's the thing, he never wanted help. He wanted stability so he could keep wearing his mask in public. The mask of the sensitive, misunderstood man. B, to keep his behavior manageable. The medication likely blunted his real traits: impulsive outbursts, sudden anger, mood swings. It helped him keep up the good guy image, especially around people he needed to impress. In reality, it was never about growth. It was about control. C, to build a false psychological narrative. This is the scariest part. He created a false history of being emotionally fragile, something he could use in court, friends, or with romantic partners. It gave him a backup story. I was under stress. I've been struggling with mental health. It wasn't vulnerability, it was manipulation, using medication as a cover story. D, to gain sympathy from new targets. He used the "I'm on medication" card to draw empathy from women and friends. It made him appear human, soft, relatable. But it was rehearsed vulnerability, designed to disarm, not connect. E, to mask red flags in immigrations or legal systems. Having a prescription history can help spin a narrative when being scrutinized by immigration officers or courts. Instead of being labeled as unstable or manipulative, he could say that behavior was due to my mental health. Here's proof I've been on meds. F, to avoid real psychiatric diagnosis. This is where it gets darker. He wasn't seeing a psychiatrist. He was getting the meds from a relative, his father's cousin, a doctor. And that changes everything. Two, what does this tell us about the cousin, the doctor? A, she helped him maintain a false medical cover. By keeping everything within the family, she prevented him from being properly assessed by professionals. A real psychiatrist might have seen through the lies, might have diagnosed him, might have created records that could expose him later. B, she may have helped him avoid accountability. He never had to face a real mental health evaluation, just monthly prescriptions from someone who already knew what to write. That's not help, that's protection. Number three, what happened when he stopped taking them? This was the turning point. He stopped the medication for 3 months, and instead of becoming depressed, he became bolder, more arrogant, more show off, more reckless. Why? Because the mask was off. The meds weren't healing him. They were suppressing his grandiosity and lack of empathy. Once they were gone, his real self took over. Number four, What else did the antidepressants help him do? They suppressed guilt and shame temporarily, so he could keep hurting people without self-reflection. They gave him the energy to keep performing, to maintain his fake persona in front of others. They let him fool himself so he could believe he was the victim and justify everything he did. Number 5. So, what does all this tell us? He wasn't taking medication because he wanted to get better. He took it to maintain control, to manipulate, to fake a story. And now, with everything I've exposed, their silence says more than words ever could. This isn't just about one man anymore. It's about the network behind him, the people who protected him, the lies they told, the truth they never thought would surface. And I'm here to make sure it does. What his parents were thinking while he was taking antidepressants. Number 1, they saw it as a cover, not a cure. His parents likely didn't see the medication as treatment, but as a way to excuse his behavior. He's mentally unwell. Gain sympathy from outsiders. Avoid deeper psychiatric evaluations that could reveal the truth. Number 2, they were complicit in protecting his mask. If they knew he wasn't genuinely healing but continued to help him maintain the illusions, they weren't being protective parents. They were enabling deception. And since his father's cousin is a doctor, they had insider access to manage and control this narrative tightly. Number 3, they were planning a long game together. A family that agrees to use someone else's name for tax evasion is not just misguided, they are complicit. But it didn't stop there. They didn't just allow it, they actively supported him using my identity, not just for tax evasion, but also to move money, cover his tracks, and possibly engage in money laundering through joint accounts and international transfers. Their decision to let him stay on antidepressants for years while helping him fabricate a clean public image, all while hiding deeper illegal actions, shows that this wasn't just a dysfunctional family. This was a well oiled operation functioning like an organized unit, not a caring household. They were not helping him heal, they were helping him hide. And everything they did was coordinated to protect his mask, no matter who they had to sacrifice in the process. The day I saw his mask fall, there was a day, and I'll never forget it, when I told him everything I had come to see. I told him I knew he was a narcissist. I called out the lies, the control, the games. I laid it all bare. But even then, even though I knew what he was, a small part of me was still hoping he do prove me wrong. That maybe, just maybe, there was still something real in him, some kind of love, something human. But there wasn't, because when I finished speaking, he didn't deny it. He didn't defend himself. His eyes turned red, not from shouting, not from tears, but from being exposed. And then on the same video call, he looked at me and calmly said, I'm a master manipulator. Just like that. No shame, no remorse, only pride. That moment told me everything I needed to know. He was never trying to change, never trying to love, never trying to be real. He was just trying to win, to control the narrative one last time. And that's why I speak up. Not for drama, not for revenge, but because I know the truth. And I know how dangerous silence is. So when people ask me why I speak up, it's because when someone like that tells you exactly who they are, you listen and then you warn others. One face for you, another for them. The truth about a man who plays everyone. I know some of you are confused. You have seen him as kind, soft-spoken man. Others know him as someone bold, arrogant, even ruthless. And now you are wondering, how can one person appear so different to so many people? Let me explain something clearly. People like him don't just have one face, they have many. Around kind, empathetic people, he becomes the misunderstood victim. Around dominant or shady people, he becomes the street smart insider. Around people who challenge him, he becomes silent, manipulative, or emotionally distant. Around people he wants to control, he plays the charming, helpful partner until he no longer needs them. He doesn't act this way because he's lost. He acts this way because it gives him control. When someone can switch personality like that, it's not confusion, it's a strategy. They do it so you never really know who they are. You question your own experiences. You can't warn others because others see a different version of him. And when the truth finally comes out, everyone is divided. This is how he survives. This is how he manipulates. You may not know he has links with people you do never expect. He hides one side of his life from another. He wears masks so well he can convince a stranger, a friend, or even a judge. And when someone like me starts connecting the dots, he gets scared, he gets quiet, and start sending people to monitor me instead. Some of you were added to spy. Some of you are still being used. But that's okay because I've seen every version of him, and now so will you. If he treated me this way, the person he married, what makes you think you will be the exception? This isn't a love story, it's a warning. A warning to anyone who still believes he's innocent just because he was different with you. He's different with everyone. That's the point. And that's how he controls the narrative until now. When helping others is just a cover story, there was a situation once not many people knew the full story. Someone was blamed for something they didn't do. They carried the weight, the shame, and the consequences. But the truth, they weren't the mastermind. They were just convenient to blame. The real mastermind walked free, quiet, untouched, and those around him, including his family, helped cover his tracks. They let someone else take the fall so the real story would stay buried. Fast forward to today. Now he's out there giving money, saying things like, I just want to help. I want to do good. But I've seen behind the curtain. And here's what I know. When someone gives money after watching another person suffer for their action, it's not generosity, it's guilt management, it's image control, it's damage repair disguised as kindness. You don't call that compassion, you call that strategy. Because if someone really cared about doing good, they wouldn't let others suffer in silence while they walk away with clean hands. Sometimes the worst betrayal isn't what they do to you, it's what they let others suffer just to protect their mask. Helping others is noble. Framing someone and then pretending to help to clean up the mess, that's manipulation. The manipulator's trap. What most people never knew about that night in 2022. Something happened that I haven't shared publicly until now. Not because I was afraid, but because I was trying to understand how far someone would go, just to avoid accountability. That year, he had a male friend visit us, a guest, someone he treated like a brother, someone who stayed under our roof. But behind the scenes, he was already texting other women. One of the texts I found later was to a girl, telling her he needed a wife for his long-term visit pass and PR. Not because of love, because of agenda. And here's what still chills me today. That same period, he made sure I looked like the neglected wife. He likely planted stories, false narratives into his friend's mind, painted me a certain way, quietly, strategically. Then that night, his friend did something no guest should ever do. He asked me to go into his room. Then he took off his pants. It was our first night hosting him. My husband pretended to be drunk, pretended to sleep in our bedroom. I didn't scream. I didn't react out of rage. I told a friend to put his pants back on, that my husband treated him like a brother and to have some respect. But what hurts most, I didn't even tell my husband for 3 months. Why? Because I thought of him. I thought he do be hurt. I thought he do appreciate that I didn't create drama. But when I finally told him, he wasn't relieved. He wasn't shocked. He was angry. Why? Because I didn't fall into the trap. Because I didn't give him the story he wanted. This wasn't just a betrayal. It was a setup. He wanted to create a reason to divorce without looking like the bad guy. That's what manipulators do. They plant seeds, they craft stories, they orchestrate chaos, just so they can point fingers later. And that friend, eventually, he was made to feel guilty, not by me, but by him. He pretended to be upset with the friend, but it was just another move on the chessboard. If you ever wonder what kind of person goes this far, now you know. This isn't just a story, it's a warning. Not everyone who smiles at you is safe. Some people play long games, games you never even knows you were part of. They came to use me, but they couldn't silence me. He said I was wrong to say he wasted my youth. He looked me in the eyes and asked, how could you ever say that? But now, people are starting to see what I've been through. Some people come into your life not to love you, but to use you. Not to build a future, but to build a facade. He didn't just waste my time. He robbed me of precious years. Years I spent believing in a life we were creating, only to find out that behind my back, he was already destroying it. While I was doing everything I could to build a real future with love and honesty, he was cheating. Even while I was going through the painful process of trying to have a child, I walked into the doctor's clinic alone. I sat there alone. He told me he was working, but that work was a lie. Another betrayal. I have evidence as well on that. He said he contributed to the home. But what was that home really? A showroom? A stage? Something to impress people? Not a place to build love or safety. That house wasn't for us, it was for image. And when the curtains dropped, he left me with nothing. Not because he had to, but because he wanted me broken, destroyed, silenced. And his parents, they did exactly the same. They stood beside him, smiling for the public, while privately helping him cover every lie, every manipulation. For a whole year, I disappeared. Not because I had nothing to say, but because I was watching, waiting for the right time. Now the time is here. So whatever they have been saying about me for the past year, they better be ready to answer for it. Because I'm not just defending myself anymore. I'm speaking for everyone who has ever been used, lied to, discarded, and silenced. So can anyone still say my life with him was good? Ask yourself, would you trade places with me? Behind the filtered photos, behind the lies he tells, there's a woman who lost years, health, peace, and a dream of a family, but not her voice and not her strength, not anymore. People ask me, why don't you just let go? Because letting go would mean letting people like them walk away and do it again to someone else. No, I will not be silent. I will speak. I will fight. I will expose. And if you have ever been in a situation like mine, I hope you do the same, because we don't just get broken by what they do. We get destroyed when we stay silent. And when we speak, they lose their power. And that's exactly what's happening now. When someone truly moves on, he doesn't need a stage. If he truly wanted to move on beautifully with his new partner, he would have come back to Singapore like a man and settled things properly. He wouldn't have run. He wouldn't have left behind a mess while trying to perform a perfect new chapter. Because real men close one door before opening another. He claims he's healed. He claims he's in love. He claims this is a new beginning. But if it is also honest and whole, why hasn't he done the honest things and resolved the past? Because when a man is truly at peace, he doesn't need an audience. He just lives quietly, clearly, and without a mask. But when it is all an illusion, that's when the dinners get posted. That's when the gifts become public. That's when the stage affection fills the timeline, because deep down he knows he's still hiding. You don't have to fight the truth when you are living it. But when you are hiding it, you will always need a stage. After the truth was exposed about how he manipulated, gaslit, and mistreated the woman he once claimed to love, he went into overdrive, trying to prove he's gentle and loving. But it's not love, it's a performance. Crying after hurting someone, then buying gifts and posting photos doesn't show healing. It shows damage control. It's a pattern, one that's played out before. He did the same thing back then too. He posted sweet captions. He told everyone how great he was as a partner until the door closed, until no one was watching. That's where the truth lives. So before anyone says, but he looks happy now, just remember, he hasn't changed. He just changed the script, hoping no one realizes he's still the same actor. And now someone else is unknowingly playing the same role. Because if he had truly changed, he would have taken responsibility. He wouldn't have erased the past. He wouldn't have run from the pain he caused. A man who truly grows takes accountability. He doesn't pretend nothing happened. He doesn't start a new chapter until he closes the last one with respect. So what's really happening? He's not healed. He's in image recovery mode. Will he cheat again? Probably not right now. Not because of guilt, but because of fear. Here's why. Number one, his reputation is bleeding. If he messes up now, it confirms everything that was exposed. Number two, He needs his new partner to believe in the illusion. If she walks away too soon, he loses control of the narrative. Number three, he is being watched and he knows it. People are paying attention now. People he thought he could fool forever. But don't mistake silence for growth. Don't mistake the pause for transformation. This isn't redemption. This is survival. And when someone tries that hard to look unaffected, that's when you know he's already been hit hard.